This is the most disturbing episode of my £600 life ever.
I hate my life.
Had I known that she would end up like this, I would have never had her.
I will need to see evidence that you're willing to put forward the effort to change.
I didn't get fat overnight, and it's not gonna take a couple weeks, a month, or whatever. Everybody's different, and I'm gonna do it.
Hello, you gorgeous donut. My £600 life isn't just your standard reality show. It is a raw, authentic journey of people that weigh over £600 trying to save their lives. Each episode follows their struggle to break free from their relationship with food, transform their bodies, and also fight for their own lives in the process. This entire process is done under the guidance of the top surgeon, Dr. Now. Now, when I was kind of researching for this TV show, I watched clips of him, and I've never seen a surgeon be so brutal than him. And you're going to see that throughout this episode we're breaking down today. As among all of the heartbreaking stories that has been documented on this show, I don't think there's an episode that has stood out more than the one that we're breaking down today. Jeanne Covey's story wasn't just shocking, it was tragic, disturbing, and definitely unforgettable. And many fans of this show have called it the most disturbing episode that the show's ever aired. Now, that is quite the prize when you think what the actual show entails. To be the most disturbing out of them all, it's gotta be pretty bad. So today, we are gonna dive deep into Jeanne Covey's story, break down the entire episode, discover what actually happened behind the scenes of this, why her story became so controversial and made headline news, and how it all went very wrong. And make sure you stick around to the end of this video because we've actually found out how Jeanne's getting on today and seeing if her story ended in happiness or not. I'm telling you right now, after we cover this episode, you wouldn't expect what the update actually is. Get comfy, we're diving in. So the episode begins with us meeting Jeanne. She's a 39-year-old woman, and her weight at this point is unknown to the producers as she hasn't been on the scales yet. Now, straight away, when you look at this woman, you can tell that she's not doing too well. She seems very unhappy. The whole vibe of it is just very morbid, even looking at her home and the way that she's sitting in it. And when you actually hear her speak for the first time, that theory is kind of backed up.
I hate my life.
Sorry, I'm not laughing that she said that. That's just the first words we've heard from her. I hate me life. Just straight to the point. No, like, easing in or nothing. Just, yeah, honestly, fucking hate me life.
I'm hardly able to move because of my size. So most of the day, I can't even get up from my chair. And when I do, I'm not able to go far.
So as you can see straight away, you know, just everyday life is a huge struggle for her. Things that many people take for granted, she obviously just can't do because, you know, just because the size of her body, like, it makes everyday tasks so difficult. And because of the way Jeanne is, even going to the toilet is like a huge chore for her. She can't actually reach the toilet in the house, so she has to kind of have like a portable one that is in the room with her.
And I even need help with that because I can't even wipe myself anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's gotta be humbling, you know. Like, that can't be nice for anyone, you know, like when you need like a, you know, to go to the toilet and then you've got to ask your ma to wipe your bum, like, obviously that's just horror. You know, nobody should ever have to experience that. I didn't actually realise as well that the toilet is in the sitting room, and you're going to see how the family kind of all chill together and, you know, they watch TV in the sitting room because obviously she can't walk far enough to go to the toilet, so she needs it as close as possible, and obviously she eats quite a lot, what you're going to see, so she tends to go to the toilet quite often as well. Now, a lot of people that come on this show can be quite defensive, and they can often be like not the nicest people. Yet it seems like Jeanne is very self-aware the impact that this is having on her parents as well as her.
It's so humiliating. I feel like they'd be better off if I wasn't here because I've become such a burden to them.
Now, just listening to, like, you know, a daughter say that about her parents, like, the parents would have a happier life if I wasn't here. Very clearly, she has, you know, such low self-esteem, low self-worth. She just doesn't believe that she's actually, you know, making anyone in her life happier, which is just a horrible thought to have about yourself. Now, she does live with both her parents, her mum and dad, and just looking at the place they live in as well. Like, I don't know about you, but when my sitting room or when the place that I'm working in or whatever is untidy, that makes my mind just go absolutely mental. It doesn't have to be like spotless, but if things everywhere, it just makes you feel bad as soon as you're sitting there. And as you can see in the sitting room, like, everything, like, the whole vibe of the place isn't made for, you know, her to feel nice. And it's obviously just because her mobility is very restricted that she can't just go around cleaning up. And straight away, you can see how hard this must be for her mother as well. You know, one thing I do respect, at least the dogs are looking away. Like, the dog was like, don't worry, love, I'm just gonna, like, lick me own balls when all the... I'll give you some privacy. Don't worry about that. Don't know why I was gonna go and replicate that, as if I can do that. One day I'll get the rib removed. What? You can tell straight away that she's so desperate for help, because why would she show the whole nation her mom wiping her bottom? This is very clearly like a last resort to, you know, try and save her life. Now, because of the incident you've just heard about where she fell in the shower, like every single day, even like when she's not going to the toilet, her mother has to wipe her down with like a bowl of soapy water.
Since there's a lot of areas of my body that cause these sores to form and open up on me. Because as I have gotten bigger, a growth has formed on my right leg.
I was worrying about some issues that I've got today. Like, watching this, I don't know if this is like a mean comment to say, but it makes me kind of put my own issues into kind of perspective, because this must be horrific to go through on a daily basis. I also love the audacity of this dog to be like, I'm not moving, right? I know you're getting talc put everywhere, love, but I'm not moving. I'm comfy. I was here first. Alright? Unless you're going to share the love with the talc, love, you can shift. Now, as Jeanne has gotten bigger and bigger over the years, her sores have become infected, which obviously means you have to, like, constantly clean them. Otherwise, they're going to get more infected and have some really, really bad health risks. And this is why her mother constantly has to wash her. And at this point, Jeanne says that she's worried that in a few months, she might not be able to walk at all. And the main reason that Jeanne says that she is this size is because of her food intake. She just loves eating. It's what she finds comfort in. You're going to see later in this video why that exactly is, which actually might make you feel some empathy towards her. But I do kind of feel a bit bad for her at this point, because she says the only short-term joy she has in her life is when she's eating, but the food that she's eating is actually causing her to be sad and have this, you know, huge restriction on her life. So she's kind of caught in this vicious cycle where she's taking the short-term happiness over her long-term health. In very early doors, you can see that her mother is almost enabling this behavior, as she's constantly asking her, like, do you want something to eat? Do you want anything else? Like, she's constantly trying to feed her.
You know, whenever you want breakfast.
Now, please. I'm happy as long as I keep eating.
By the way, that is like first class service. Let me know when you want breakfast. Now, please. God! Thought you were going to never ask, woman. Come on. Going to rate you down on TripAdvisor now. Now, although I did say she is enabling her, you are also wondering, like, is Jeanne kind of taking advantage of her mother's kindness here? You know, her mother's kind of smothering her and treating her a bit like a baby. Like, obviously, her mother just loves her so much and she just wants to care for her. You are asking yourself many questions at this point, trying to figure out where you kind of lie emotionally. But then we do get an insight into why Jeanne has this relationship with food, and honestly, it is really shocking.
My dad wasn't a part of my life growing up. So to support us, my mom had to start working 2 jobs.
Bloody hell, love, away, man. There's not that much salt in the North Sea. Come on, away.
And we moved in with my grandmother to have someone look after me. But my grandmother was extremely abusive to me. There's been times I had bruises from my neck all the way down.
Now, obviously, just hearing that is horrific. Like, genuinely, nobody should have to ever go through that, especially not a child. And it's very hard to kind of put yourself in her shoes if you haven't been through this, like what sort of effect this would have on you. She then goes on to say that when she was, you know, suffering this abuse, she would often turn to food as this was kind of her comfort, and she kind of, you know, developed this like need, this kind of reliance on food to pick her up. It's just so horrible to hear that, like a grandma treating, you know, her granddaughter like that. Like, this is one of the people in your life that should be protecting you, not harming you. It's a complete break of trust, especially when the mother knows nothing about this as well. Jeanne makes that very clear that she kept it a secret from her mum. I was really interested to see, like, if there is, you know, a proven pipeline between children that suffer this sort of thing and their relationship with food. And I actually found a complete study that was conducted where it was basically like the mistreatment of children and how that like has like a mediating role of PTSD and self-esteem, and how food can kind of lift that self-esteem. And this can lead to things like an ED and, you know, various other factors that can really have such a severe impact on a child when it becomes an adult. And it's really hard to kind of shake that off. It's not just a case of, oh, stop eating, because it's so ingrained into people's minds and it's so like hard hard to, unravel your mind and start fresh. And after this, gradually, Jeanne would get bigger and bigger, as she was going through all of this trauma. And then one day, her mother actually met another guy, not her father, just like a stepdad. And her stepdad actually took advantage of her. He basically essayed her one day, and he said to her, like, this is our secret. Very, very deep, horrible thing that this person did to her. And after she went through this, she also started to rely on food more and more, because food was the only kind of consistent thing in her life that constantly brought her joy. So when I said earlier, you're going to feel a little bit of empathy towards her, this is why I think that, because there's clearly a pipeline into why she relies on food, and she hasn't been able to break this as she's become an adult. I'm not saying that she shouldn't take responsibility for, the sides that she's got to. I'm just trying to explain the emotional reasoning behind why this has possibly happened. And this also had me deeping like her mother's involvement in this, because Jeanne talks about how she told her mother about everything, about the grandma, about her partner, and you can tell her mother feels very guilty about putting Jeanne in these situations, even though it wasn't her fault. Like, she didn't do anything to Jeanne, she just didn't know about it, but she feels like she kind of has to make it up to Jeanne, I think, and this is why she constantly feeds her and just kind of does everything for her, because she's got so much guilt as a parent that, her child has had to go through this. That's just my deduction of it.
She said, why didn't I tell her sooner? And my answer was because I was scared that she wouldn't believe me.
So very clearly, like, this woman has been through so much trauma that, the cogs in her brain don't allow her to kind of think how most other people think, because, they've just been broken because of her trust being broken so often. Adults manipulating her. Like, she won't think how a lot of other adults think who haven't been through what she has been through. Now, when Jeanne started going to school, she was actually £350 by the age of 15, and kids just being kids, they started bullying her, and by the age of 17, she actually dropped out of school. So at the age of 17, she was just kind of stuck in the house. She didn't get a job or anything. So she's not actually getting any exercise. She's just eating all day and not burning the calories. And this has kind of led to how she's kind of living now at the age of 37. You're probably wondering like how she actually earns money. Well, when she got over a certain weight, she actually started claiming disability benefits, and that's how she kind of, keeps her living. That also led to her mother being able to cut her hours at work so that she could care for Jeanne a bit more. And at this point, we also get to hear from Jeanne's dad for the first time. Now, Jeanne's dad and her didn't have a relationship until she was 29, where she basically rang him and said, I forgive you for not being in my life. And then he came back to the house and then he just stayed, so they kind of live as a family unit. Now, you are going to see later in this episode, something very traumatic happens with Jeanne's dad, which sets her, back even further than she possibly is right now. But at this point, they do seem like a close-knit family. Now, despite healing from her relationship with her father, Jeanne actually says that she eats more than ever right now.
I think I eat more now than I did then, because my life over the last 10 years has completely become my house.
Mother giving her a bombastic side eye there. Wow. That's like when you walk in a nightclub that's kind of judgy and like people look at you like, oh God, really? That's the outfit you've chosen? Oh God. You ever been in a nightclub like that where people do that? That's the vibes that Jeanne's mom's giving her right now. She said, look at her eating the fucking cupcake. Didn't even ask if I want one. Now, if Jeanne actually wanted to swap sodas for a much healthier alternative like I have, she should get this product. Holy is a clean, healthier alternative to the traditional sugar-packed energy drinks. They do a range of powdered-based soft drinks. They have options like hydration, iced tea, energy. I've got them all here. Look, I'm literally raiding Holy right now. Honestly, me and Chloe fight over these. It's quite good that her favourite is the iced tea because mine's hydration, so I just get to tax all them ones. You can get all of these and more with the Starter Set Deluxe pack. This includes sample flavours of all of the three that I just mentioned. You can also choose between a black shaker or a metal thermo shaker. I like the one I've got because, like, if you've lost it, you can just see it from a mile away. Like, look at the colour scheme of that. Unbelievable. Getting the Starter Set Deluxe just means you can test the flavours and then you can buy a bigger tub later, which I have myself. My favourite current flavour, the strawberry kiwi flavour. Full tub of it, right? I'm stocked up, I told you. It's unbelievable, man. And from the 3rd of November all the way to the 2nd of December, you can get £10 off the Starter Set Deluxe pack. And using my code, you can also get £5 off as well. So that's a total of £15 off. There's actually never been a better time to try Holy if you haven't already. Like, I've worked with them like 3 or 4 times now. I honestly love the product. They've also got a new flavour called the Cotton Candy Caterpillar, which sounds so fun. And also some iconic flavours have returned. And the fun doesn't stop there, as Holy are actually giving away £50,000 on Black Friday week. All you need to do is place an order during that week, and then you've got a chance of winning some money. And if you think that's it, you'd be wrong, as there's more. They're also raffling off 7 PS5s for every single day of the Black Friday week. Holy is absolutely mental, to be fair. So genuinely, there's never been a better time to try Holy. Just click the link in my description. You get £10 off the starter set deluxe, and with my code you get an extra £5 off, so you get £15 off, and you get entered into a raffle to win money and some prizes. Just do it. God, this is amazing.
I'll go get some plates.
The more you're watching of this, the more you're seeing even her dad is enabling this. Like, once she's finished one meal, they pass her another meal. Like, she's just finished a whole box of cupcakes, and they've just passed her a pizza with, like, another carton on top. Actually, that's 2 pizzas. And I do think that her mother is starting to realise that, you know, this isn't right, and, you know, she's starting to feel guilty about the way that Jeanne actually has turned out.
Had I known that she would end up like this, I would have never had her. I would have rather die than have her live like she's living.
So you can see there, like, this family dynamic is so broken. And although they seem like a close-knit family, they all are just so dejected of any happiness. There's no happiness in this house. They all have lives, but none of them are, like, living. They're all just kind of existing and just trying to get through the day. One thing I do find wild is it says later in the episode that they actually have 9 dogs. And I have no idea, like, how these dogs get walked or if they get walked at all. All the dogs just seem very kind of, I guess, lackadaisical. They just all seem kind of sad, and they just all kind of walk around. The players, I don't know how often they get walked. Also, having 9 dogs, like, it's very hard to keep the house kind of hygienic, especially a small house. And that's what makes the situation even more worrying for everyone, because they're not getting any better in this house. Like, the situation has got so bad that even Jeanne's mother has been hospitalised because, you know, of the strain of looking after Jeanne as well, and because of her own infections. And after this happened, it seemed like that was kind of the final straw for Jeanne to really try and, you know, make a difference in her life and get better, not only for her, but for her family as well. Because if this situation keeps on going like this, it's only gonna get worse. Now, after this, the show then progresses to day 1 of Jeanne starting her adventure on My £600 Life. Jeanne has to travel 4 hours to get to Dr. No's clinic so that she can get, like, an initial review. However, she's extremely stressed about leaving the house because she never does this. Just observing her at this point, you're wondering if she's going to have a panic attack or something, because she's just so out of it.
She can't move the car up any.
I mean, it is at the front door, love, unless, like, you know, she actually parked it inside the front room. I feel like it's pretty close there. It's right off the forecourt.
I love you.
Love you. But I'm glad I'm at least able to fit in the car. I have to be like this all the way to Houston.
Now, although she can fit in the car, she just looks so uncomfortable because obviously she's just not used to going anywhere. Obviously, they've got a 4-hour journey, but like an hour into it, Jeanne says they need to stop the car because she's so uncomfortable and she needs to stretch her legs, and only one thing can de-stress her right now.
Get me a soda, a really big one, please. I need something with sugar to help my nerves.
I don't think that's going to help your nerves, love. I think that's actually hindering them. That just makes you more hyped and it's going to get you more on edge if you have sugar. You can very clearly see, like, her relationship with kind of, you know, unhealthy foods. Like, as soon as she feels stressed, she looks to food and fizzy drinks to just kind of comfort her. And at this point, I am really feeling sorry for her mother, because as her mother gets out the car, like, she can hardly walk herself, yet she has to do everything for Jeanne, obviously. Like, she shouldn't even really be driving the way that she's walking. You're going to see later in this episode how she actually has to have, like, life-saving surgery too. And at this point, I'm just convinced that they're not actually going to reach the clinic, because they've got another 3 hours and already they're kind of at their maximum line of what they can handle.
I can see people already staring at me and probably making comments about how big I am. So I'm just not getting out.
I don't think anybody is staring at her. I think if they are looking at her, they're probably wondering why there's, like, a huge production team with, like, huge boom mics and, like, lighting and everything anything pointing towards your car, they're probably going to think you're some sort of celebrity. That's why they're pointing. Honestly, I don't think everybody is looking and pointing at you because, of what you think of your size. But obviously, like, this is her leaving the house for the first time in a while. And the last time she left the house, which, might have been school, everyone was bullying her and everyone was looking at her. So this is her experience of the outside world. She has such a toxic relationship with other people because other people have always took advantage of her throughout her entire life. So this is why she thinks like that, even though everyone else is looking and going, you're okay, love. Like, nobody's saying this about you.
There were people over there on the grass staring and pointing. And this lady just drove by and slowed down and just stared at me.
She slowed down. What, like people do on the motorway when there's a crash? She was literally like, zoom. You're in a petrol garage. Everyone has to slow down to put petrol in the car. Again, I think they're just looking because there's an entire production crew there. Personally, I would look. I'd be like, who's that? Right? I don't know what influencer that is.
I try my best not to let them get to me, but when they're sitting over there talking, I want to tell them, if you want to take a picture, take a picture.
Again, like, this has got to be very draining for her mother because you can see Jeanne just has such negative self-esteem. Like, everything she hates, everything is bad. The world is like the worst place in the world. And that obviously is going to be very draining for her mother, who seems like a bit more of a positive person. But again, it's understandable why she has this viewpoint of the world because of the things she's been through. But it is a real shame that, she's reached nearly 40 and she hasn't been able to talk to anyone, such as like a therapist or even, her parents, and kind of just, work through the trauma that she's had throughout her life. Obviously, nothing solves it and it's always going to be with you. But I know myself, like, talking out loud about horrible things that have happened to you as a child, it does help lessen the load, when other people are willing to listen and just kind of give you a viewpoint that isn't emotionally attached to the situation. And very clearly, Jeanne just doesn't have this in her life. The only thing, again, that brings her comfort is eating. Now, eventually they do reach Dr. Now's clinic, and already Jeanne's having severe issues with her sores.
It hurt. I know there's blood on the back of your pants from your leg.
Love, why did you wear white pants, man? They look like linen. So obviously they're very breathable. I understand they're probably comfy. But white? I mean, she's got a red shirt on, so you could just be like, oh, it's me top. The colour of me top's leaking. I put it in the wash and now it's just not stopped leaking. But obviously this has got to be so painful, no matter what you think about her being, the reason she's got to this size. I can't imagine what this is like to go through. This must be so painful. And even though they've, had the achievement of reaching the clinic, Jeanne is very convinced that the doctor is just going to tell her to go home and she just has to wait to die. Like, she is severely dejected of any motivation and she just doesn't see any light at the end of the tunnel at this point. Obviously, if the doctor said that on live TV, I feel like the show would just be cancelled. Like, oh, sorry, love, can you just, like, go home? Like, we can't help you. You just need to die. Worst Doctor of the Year award goes to them. To be fair, when I went in A&E for a severe issue that I had a few months back, I basically got told that. So maybe, I'm just saying, that isn't off the cards. Her name then gets called, and the first thing they do is weigh her. Like, £700 is... that is obviously very unhealthy. Like, there's no two ways about that. You can't be that way and be healthy unless you're like the Hulk or something that lives at the top of a beanstalk. They are the only people that would be able to stand on that Wii Fit board and it would say, yeah, you're all good, mate. I used to hate that as a child, by the way, when you would step on the Wii Fit board and it would be like, oh no, God, how are you even breathing? You're the most unhealthiest person ever. I tell you what, why don't you run around this fake resort, get yourself better? That was so toxic, Wii Fit. I've just unlocked that memory. Just on Christmas Day doing a full-on marathon to make sure that I was healthy and wasn't gonna die. Curse you, Wii Fit! Terrible! She then meets Dr. Now for the first time and he basically just asks her a few questions like, what's your diet like? How much exercise do you do? Just basically trying to learn a little bit about her life. Jeanne also opens up about the trauma that she's been through and how this has affected her relationship with food, and she says the only reason she's come here today because she wants weight loss surgery. However, I don't actually think that this is the best best option like straight away, because yes, you're going to reduce, the amount of weight that you're holding, but you're not really, working on your actual relationship with the food, because it's great taking the weight off, but it's only going to come back if you don't actually work on the mental side of it personally. And the doctor now basically says the same thing as that. He's like, look, we can't offer that straight away. We need some proof from you that you're actually going to help yourself before we give you this surgery. Now, watching this, I thought that the procedures, like the surgery, would be covered by the show because they're featured on it. But when I researched it, that's actually not the case with all of the people that appear on this show. It's actually paid for by like government insurances or various things like that. So they don't actually cover all of the costs of the surgeries. Obviously, this is in America where they don't have, free healthcare. I just found that really interesting though. So obviously they're going to probably, not have surgery as the first option. And when Dr. Now says this to Jeanne, that we're not going to give you surgery straight away, you can see her face kind of drops and she almost gets upset that, the outcome that she wanted isn't going to happen.
I will need to see evidence that you're willing to put forward the effort to change. Because if you don't, the surgery will be pointless.
Now, like, as somebody that has never had to go through, an ED, you can look at this and go, okay, why doesn't she just do it? Like, just do it. But it's not as easy as that when you have an ED, because if it was as easy as that, nobody would have them. You can't just one day go, okay, like, I'm fine now. It's a gradual process. I imagine that you have to work at really, really hard, because it's the way that your brain has been hardwired, and you can't just switch that hardwiring off, because that's part of your makeup at that point. So although she does have to take responsibility because she's the only one in control of changing this, no one else, it won't be an easy road to doing that, and it's not just the case of making one decision. I honestly think that Jeanne really needs some psychological help as well as, other things. She needs to work through her trauma and work on her, why she finds comfort in food because of the things she's been through. That is the most important thing here. Now, after this, Jeanne basically takes us through what a typical day of her diet looks like. However, Dr. Now is saying that she's lying, because she basically is saying she doesn't really eat that much food, but he says obviously you do, because the size you've managed to get to, you have to consume a lot of food to get to that weight. And when the camera pans on her mother, you can see that she knows that she's lying, but her mother also starts lying. They're trying to appear that they're fine and that they eat really healthy. Like, at one point the mother says she only serves Jeanne like lean meats and vegetables, like they don't eat very fatty foods, yet we have seen on the footage that that's a lie. They actually do eat fatty foods. So at this point, I am wondering why they are lying, because this isn't going to help them. But very clearly, they're just stuck in a cycle that they can't get out of, and they're just so used to like telling people that it's not as bad as what it seems. I feel like anybody that knows anyone with an addiction will know that, when they're going through things, they don't think logically about things. They kind of act on emotion a lot of the time. So it's very hard to kind of, explain why people answer the way that they do in these situations. Again, don't know, this is a very deep video. Hopefully you do enjoy these. I know this is a lot, it's not very lighthearted, but I just find this really interesting. And after this, Dr. Now then actually confronts them and says, look, yous are lying. Like, I'm not going to take lying here. I'm not going to help yous if you're lying to us. And then he actually asks Jeanne if he can see the sore on her leg, and his response is definitely damning.
Oh, this really look bad. Very badly infected. How long has it been like that?
A few months.
Sorry, guys, that was just an initial reaction. I didn't mean to be nasty. I'm not great with like bodily things. Like, I can't watch like Holby City or Grey's Anatomy or anything. Like, I'm just not good with anything that is like to do with the body, really, or like too much blood and stuff. I freak out. So this is a lot for me. I'm not doing this just out of disgust. It's just, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't imagine how painful that is, genuinely. Like, we can't show this on YouTube, but it's basically like a huge ball sack that is coming off her bum, and that's the nicest way I can kind of describe it. That's exactly what it looks like. Dr. Now actually says this is so severe that they can't go home. They have to go straight to hospital, otherwise she could die. And when they're preparing to go, he also gives her a strict diet that she must follow while she's spending time in hospital.
I'll help you, but it all starts with you. So you need to understand you are responsible for your eating habits, okay?
I understand that.
Now, obviously, that's a very brutal response, and it's something she probably has never been told before. But honestly, I feel like she's totally out of control. Like, she needs some sort of, mental health help from a psychologist or something, because she's saying she understands, but she doesn't obviously understand how to change it because she's not in control of the situation. If she was in control of the situation, she wouldn't be in this situation. And I am just hoping that she can, get a little bit more control and take more responsibility over, this part of her life. But at this point, I'm not convinced by the end of this episode she's actually going to, be successful in changing the way she lives. Dr. Now has also made it very clear to Jean's mom that she needs to stop feeding her as much as she is as well, because that's only enabling her. And after this, Jeanne and her mother kind of leave the clinic even more demotivated than they were before they arrived.
And I feel like Dr. Now was really hard on me, and the goal he gave me seems impossible.
One thing I will say is, in any situation, even if it's not as severe as this, often things don't change if you don't go out of your comfort zone. So going out of your comfort zone often is a sign of growth when it comes to most things within changing your life. Because if he did give you a goal that was in your comfort zone, chances are the actual target won't be life-changing and won't actually help you. But obviously she's never had to have a diet, so this will just be really overwhelming for her. And a disorder like this can't be changed overnight, like I keep saying. Now, Jeanne and her mother actually both arrive at the hospital, and the show progresses a couple of days, and we get to see Jeanne, and she's looking a bit worse for wear as they've discovered that her leg was severely infected, and she actually goes to the toilet, and when she sits down, it's horrible to say, but there's a lot of blood in the toilet, and just in the bathroom in general. Even her mother is really kind of worried, and she has to get the nurse because she's never seen it look like this before. And that'll obviously be because the bad blood is just trying to get out of the infected area, and it might not be strapped up perfectly. A lot of reasons for this, but it must be horrific to go through. And when Dr. Now finds out about this, he actually quickly rushes to the hospital, and he tells the mother that, you need to be cleaning her all of the time, not just once a day. You need to clean her after every single time she goes to the toilet, because obviously it's going to get infected if certain things. Oh God, if there's poop on your leg, chances are it's gonna get it infected. We all know this. We've all been through. No, we haven't. I mean, I haven't. Now I'm getting defensive. I've never had poop on my leg. Well, I probably have when I was a child. You get the picture. I genuinely do. I don't have poop on my leg. Nah, it's just something on the floor. That's not a rumour. I want to go around. Now I don't even know why I'm still talking. Stop talking. Every single time someone meets us in public now, they're going to be like, "Oh, Cam, you alright?" Don't do that. Don't. Now at this point, Jeanne thinks that she's going home tonight. However, because of this incident, she actually now has to stay for another 2 to 3 weeks because they need to clear the new infection out. Now, during her stay at the hospital, she's also, been told she has to quit smoking because that's affecting her, her body's ability to repair its cells. And also, she's been on this strict diet where she can't eat that much food at all, really, especially not what she's used to. However, Dr. Now actually brings a scale and he weighs her, and in these 2 to 3 days, she's actually lost 17 pounds, which is a hell of a lot. And this actually brings us some kind of motivation because this might be the first time, for years that she's actually lost weight. And that's the thing that I think's most important within this process, is trying to build some momentum, because everybody knows when you're starting something for the first time or trying to change something that you're so ingrained with, it seems impossible. But once you just get a couple of wins, a couple of things go your way, it becomes a little bit easier every single day. So she really needs to try and build on this. Now again, guys, obviously I haven't been through something as severe as this, so my perspective might be off a couple of times, and if it is, please do let me know. I'm not trying to be, unempathetic or derogatory in any situation here. I'm just trying to offer this from my perspective, so if anyone does have a better perspective, again, just let me know, okay? I'm not trying to say my opinion's the correct one here. Despite this small win though, it is very worrying because Dr. Now says that he's not convinced that Jeanne's going to turn her life around by the end of this episode, which isn't great to hear from, the only doctor helping you.
I just really, really want to go home and start my diet there. I have to put up with this and get through it if I want to live.
Now, honestly, I don't really feel confident that she will start her diet when she's home, because I feel like it's going to be so easy to slip into old habits. Here, she's almost forced to do it because it's a new environment and they're bringing her the food. But when her and her mother are back in control of her diet, it's going to be so much more difficult to stick to, because then you're relying on your own motivation, not the structure and the establishment you find yourself in, which is in control at this point. When it comes to substance abuse or anything like that, that's why, people go to facilities facilities, like rehab clinics and stuff if they're really struggling, because at that point it's kind of out of their hands to help themselves. They need the help of professionals. And honestly, at this point, I feel like Jeanne is in the same boat. However, after this, the show then progresses a month, and we're now in the second month of this process, and Jeanne actually is back home with her mother, and she seems to be in good spirits. She now actually has a chore where basically she has to feed the dogs. I know it might seem like such a little thing, but before she just used to sit all day. So that is kind of forcing her to get up, you know, just get her blood pumping, just get her body moving basically. And it's at this point she says they have 9 dogs, and I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. Like, I know I mentioned it previously, but how like, there's so little space in this house and so many people and dogs in it. I don't know how they live on a day-to-day basis, honestly. I feel like 9 cats, like, they go off and do their own things. Dogs are a lot more demanding. I appreciate the show then showing us how she still goes to the toilet in her front room.
It's going to take months to fully heal, but no matter what it takes, my mom and I want to do everything we can for me to get better.
Bruh, like, do we need to see the full moon every time? Like, I understand, I get it. Like, can you not just reference it? I know they blur it, but it's just like, you know, especially when you're seeing a mom really go, you know, just like, even like squinting, just being like, all right, just getting all the bit. It's just a little bit uncomfortable. Obviously, you know, it's more uncomfortable for her. I'm not trying to make this about me, but I'm just saying it makes me feel a bit, you know, a bit queasy. Seeing someone get bent over and their arse wiped, it's a tough watch at times. Not gonna lie, guys, okay? By the way, I just didn't deep how wild it is that the toilet is actually in the front room. Like, it's just so outstanding how, you know, possibly unhygienic this place is. And I know this just matched with how many dogs there is and everything. It does seem a bit cleaner than the last time. They've got some sort of like Stranger Things lights going up next to like the window. I don't know if they're kind of, you know, talking to the upside down as well. But they've tried to brighten the place up a little bit. Hopefully Vecna doesn't come and take Jeanne. You know, she's been through enough. Just miss this house out, Vecna, if you're watching. And very quickly, the show then progresses to the next month, month 3, and this is the deadline. The task she was set by Dr. Now was to be below £599, and if she is below this, then she may qualify to get the weight loss surgery that she desires. And at this point, I'm really hoping that she has built on the momentum of, you know, the pounds that she did lose in hospital, because she said in her own words, when she gets home, she'll, you know, start a diet properly then. Just quickly, Donuts, if you haven't already, we are closing in on 700,000 subscribers. We're trying to get 1 million on this channel, but if everyone watching this press subscribe now, would be at 700k, and we'll be on the journey to 1 million donuts. So if you haven't already, press subscribe. Some people actually watch all my videos and haven't subscribed, so just make sure, press the button. It's free. Thank you very much. However, when she goes back to the clinic and she's weighed again, it's actually revealed by the scale that she's put on 29 pounds since she left for home. And honestly, she's bewildered by this.
I knew my mom and I made all the changes and worked really hard, so I can't really explain it. I have to get weight loss surgery before it's too late.
And again, like, no mental work has been conducted during this. She's just been told, like, here's a diet. And I know obviously she has to take responsibility, but the trauma bond she has with food can't be broken this way. In my opinion, it's too strong. She thinks she's doing the right things, but she's not, clearly. And I know she's lying like she lied before, because I literally saw her eat a plate where it had loads of cheese on, loads of cream, like there was cream cheese as well. There was just so many calories in that meal that she had, which probably took her over her limit just in one meal. And when she's confronted by Dr. Now on this situation, they end up having like a big argument over it.
Why I should believe that when you have every chance to do it, but you're still lying to me?
I'm gonna prove you wrong that I can do this.
This is such a hard watch, because anyone that has seen someone with an addiction, they often will say things like this, but actions mean a lot more than what words do. It's so easy to say these things. It's the actions that really, really determine if you mean it or not. And her actions aren't following up with our words.
I didn't get fat overnight, and it's not gonna take a couple weeks, a month, or whatever. Everybody's different.
And I do agree with her on that, but there needs to be little steps every day, and here it's just gone back to normal. So it is hard for the doctor to kind of, you know, believe her, because every sign is pointing to her just getting worse.
Because because I'm motivated to do it. I was motivated then to do
What
it.
went wrong?
If I knew that, I could tell you. I don't know.
I want, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about Jeanne? Because a lot of the comments I've seen on YouTube of clips of this is so derogatory towards her and so horrific towards her. And I've been thinking, am I just coming at this from a total wrong angle? That I'm kind of, trying to see this from her point of view? Is she actually a bad person? Let me know what you think, because I am kind of having my own kind of quarrel with it mentally. And it's nice that she's saying that she's motivated, and, motivation definitely helps, but you can't, in any situation, you don't have motivation the entire time. It's discipline that actually takes you through and actually makes a change. You can feel motivated to the gym, but then if you don't go the other 6 days, what's the point? You need the discipline when you don't want to go to still do it. And unfortunately for Jeanne, her brain is just not in that mode that she's able to even think that way. Now at this point, Dr. Now says he's going to give them an ultimatum. Basically, Jeanne has to lose £100 in 2 months, so £50 each month, if she wants this weight loss surgery. And if she doesn't do it, there's no surgery at all. This is basically a last chance. And at this point, I'm basically convinced that she's not going to do this because, before she put weight on. It wasn't the fact that she lost weight, it just wasn't enough. She just totally didn't, do it. And I can't see that changing now. However, I do hope that she proves me wrong.
Dr. Now isn't being fair at all, but I'm going to prove him wrong. And then I'm going to shove my progress in his face, and it's going to feel really, really good to do that.
But you're acting like Dr. Now doesn't want the best for you. He wants to help you. If you lose loads of weight, he's not going to be like, oh, damn, oh, what? This is exactly what I didn't want to happen. The man is a doctor. He has made an entire show of helping people like you. Why would he not want you to lose weight? She's definitely taking this as if it's a personal attack, that she's not getting her own way. And I definitely think that is obviously a character flaw, because within her family household, she basically bosses her mom and dad around and she gets whatever she wants. And in this situation, she's not getting what she wants, and very clearly she doesn't like it, because she doesn't speak to anyone else. So normally in everyday scenarios with her, she's the boss of everyone, and now she's not. And she's definitely struggling with that dynamic. The show then progresses to month 4, and Jeanne is in the house. She's FaceTiming Dr. Now. She's basically shown her the infection, and Dr. Now's really happy with the progress. It looks so much better than what it did when they initially had the consultation. So that's a huge positive, because like Dr. Now said, if that wasn't fixed, she wouldn't be alive right now, which is just a crazy statement. And then very quickly, the show progresses to month 5, where Jeanne is due back at the clinic to see if she's actually matched her target of losing £100 in 2 months, because this is the deadline now. We're in extra time. This is the make or break moment. Also, if you haven't dropped a like on this video, what are you doing? Press that button now. Now, just for context, before you see her weight, she needs to be below £578 to qualify for the surgery. Just a little bit. It's just like £100. £100. Are we gonna fail her on £100? Oh God! What's the point in being you can't have any fun these days, £100. What's that, man? Nothing. It's that face, obviously it's a very serious situation, but her face is just shit. Because she knows that he's just gonna confront her and just kind of tell her off again. But at the end of the day, this really has no impact on Dr. Now. This is about her life. So the only person she's really letting down here is herself. But again, it's just so difficult because of the, the disorder she's dealing with.
My mom and I worked extremely hard to make sure I ate right and did everything I needed. So this just doesn't make any sense, and I don't know what to do.
At this point, it's very, if she thinks that she's done everything right and she's returned £100 heavier, there's no hope that she's ever going to be able to do this on her own. She needs professional help. And right now, in this whole process, I think this is really rock bottom for Jeanne. As she says, she's not even asked about what Dr. Now's going to say. She just wants to get this over with, this conversation, and just go home. It's almost like she's given up at this point. Now, when they actually have the conversation and just have it out, Jeanne blames, her being £100 over on the complications that her mom's been having with her surgery. surgery. Her mum actually shows Dr. Now the effects of it, and it's severely infected. Again, I can't show this on YouTube because this video will just get taken down, but it's really, really bad. And Dr. Now says that if they don't sort this now, she might not live for much longer. So that's her mother now obviously needing life-changing surgery. And you can see the doctor is kind of examining, like, should I even send these people home, because their home is clearly so filthy, which is creating all of these infections. Like, being home is not the right place for these people. So he sends them straight to the hospital again.
All I need is weight loss surgery. And not only did I not get my approval, I have to go back into the hospital with my mom.
That is a pretty rough day, to be fair. You thought you were gonna, just some weight off you, and then you come back to hospital because your mom needs surgery. Right? Not the greatest day. Wouldn't be up there as one of my favourite, that's all I'm saying. I know a lot of people are probably like shouting at the screen being like, this surgery won't actually help you, like, right now. But her brain is so wired to having short-term fixes for how she's feeling. So in her brain, she just thinks this is the only thing because that's a short-term fix to her weight. It's this vicious cycle that she can't get out of mentally. And it's like, even though I don't know these people, you just wish they can just be helped. Like, you're just hoping that something kind of sparks them to just kind of change their ways. But at this point, we've had no evidence of that happening at all. Now, once they actually go to the hospital again, it's been confirmed that Jeanne has a hernia in her stomach, which she needs treated like pretty imminently. Otherwise, again, she's going to be at risk of losing her life. And Dr. Now actually says that he wants her to have some psychological help as well. This is the first time he's kind of introduced this, and I think this is really going to help. He also lets Jeanne know that her mother is currently getting like life-changing surgery that she needed, otherwise she was going to lose her life. Like, this is such a horrific situation for a mother and daughter to be in. Whether you think it's self-inflicted or not, like, you can surely empathise with how difficult this must be. It's just such a sad situation, especially like Jeanne has felt alone her entire life. Now the chance that her mother might not actually survive this surgery and she's stuck in a hospital bed, she'll be feeling extremely, extremely low and lonely right now. And the only positive I can take from this is hopefully this is enough to make her really try and make a change in her life. However, the show then progresses to post-surgery of Jeanne's mother, and it went really well. She's doing well, she's healthy. However, she's like really tired and she needs weeks to recover. And I do feel like this is a wake-up call for the family. Like, if this doesn't motivate them to change, I don't think anything will ever. However, this doesn't seem to be sparking anything in Jeanne, as she's just saying the same things as she's been saying the entire episode.
I'm considering going to see the therapist once my mom fully recovers, but I just need to be able to get home and be somewhere I can have some control.
Again, when you go home, it's going to be the exact same as what it was before. You keep wanting to be home, but when you're home, you're making your living situation worse. And it's so horrible to see someone just constantly just make all the wrong decisions. It's important to know at this point, Jeanne's father is constantly ringing her, being like, are you okay? Is mom okay? He doesn't drive, so he can't get to the hospital. It's like 4 hours away, so he can't just take a bus or anything. And apparently Jeanne's actually annoyed with him at this point because he won't stop ringing. Like, she's sick of answering and not giving him an update. But clearly he just really, really, really cares. The show then progresses a couple of weeks later, and Jeanne has actually been discharged from hospital. Like, she doesn't need to be there no longer. However, her mother still needs to recover from the surgery, and they can't get home unless her mother drives them, and she can't drive for another 3 weeks apparently. And worryingly, at this point, when Jeanne is trying to get in contact with her father, he's no longer picking up. Like, previously he was ringing multiple times a day, and just overnight it's as if, like, he seems disinterested, or what. This is what you're kind of thinking at this point. Like, why is he not answering the phone? Surely something must be wrong. And as the days progress after this, Jeanne is getting more and more worried about her dad, so she actually rings the police to do a welfare check on the house just to make sure he's okay. Obviously they've got all the dogs there as well. And hours later, the police actually ring her back and tell her what they've found, and it's so horrific.
Is he okay? No. Did he look like maybe he passed in his sleep?
Now, obviously, as you can see there, Jeanne's just been told that her father has unfortunately passed away. He went to sleep and he never actually woke up. Obviously, the reasons for this, we don't know. We don't know if it was health reasons. We don't know if it was the stress of what was going on. But could you imagine, just put yourself in their shoes for a second? You've just had this, horrific experience of trying to save your own life. And when you've spent time away from, your father, your husband, he's lost his life. Like, I can't imagine the stress and just how horrific this situation is. Like, this is one of the worst things I've seen someone go through, especially on a reality TV show. I can't believe like how this has happened so quickly. And after you see Jeanne tell her mother about this, she's like inconsolable. She's just crying and crying, and it's so hard to watch. Jeanne almost seemed a little bit cold, as if it hasn't kind of sunk into her just yet. But straight away you just see the emotion pour out of Jeanne's mother. And I do appreciate Dr. Now at this point, as he wasn't allowing them to leave before, but now he's like, look, we'll sort the transport, you don't need to drive, we'll drive your car back to your house, we'll sort everything, we just want you to, you know, be with him right now. That is really nice of him, in my opinion. One thing I am really worried about at this point, you know, despite obviously the horrific thing they're going through right now, is the pipeline between Jeanne having a traumatic experience and relying on food to kind of bring her up a little bit. Now, this is one of the most traumatic things she'll ever go through, losing a parent. Food's going to be there for her to rely on, and, you know, right now she needs to really, really cut back on it, and I feel like this is just going to set her back even further than she was before she even came on the show. Like, when they eventually arrive back at the home, you can see straight away Jeanne is looking for food. She needs some comfort from somewhere.
But there's nothing to eat here. So I just want to go to bed.
Like, that's her first thought when she's going through something that's horrific. It's like, I need to eat. And that's why she needs the psychological help. Honestly, I just feel so sorry for the dogs at this point. You know, like, there would have been obviously a deceased person in the bed for, you know, days, and the dogs, like, honestly, this nearly, I know there's people involved in this, but this nearly made us cry for the dogs, because I have such an attachment to dogs, and they would have no idea why, you know, their parent isn't responding to them. I'm just really glad that they're okay as well. Honestly, I told you this is one of the most disturbing episodes of any TV show ever, never mind just £600 Life. It's so raw and so real. The show then progresses to month 6, and both Jeanne and her mother have actually agreed to stop taking part in the process. They no longer go to see Dr. Now at the clinic.
With my dad gone, we can't leave the dogs alone, and I can't go by myself. So I'm just not in a place to be able to do Dr. Now's program.
Now you can see, like, obviously they're dealing with so much trauma here. The sitting room is just worse than ever. Like, the cracks in the wall, like the dust in the fan, which will be blown everywhere. Just the piles of rubbish. Bearing in mind they have open wounds, like, this is no way for anybody to ever be living. It's really, really bad, this situation. And we're basically at the end of the episode, and I don't think we've made any progress. This entire episode was an hour and a half, and, you know, span over 6 months, and I think we've got worse. One positive thing out of this month is Jeanne is actually talking to a psychologist, and she says that she feels a lot better after it, and she's starting to understand certain things. So that is one small piece of hope that she can hopefully take into her life after the show. They do show this phone call, but after she kind of hangs up, you see the silence, and you see how she's kind of just really, really alone now, because her mother can't even get out of bed with both the pain and, you know, the emotional trauma she's going through. It's a very, very sad situation, and honestly, like, I do feel bad for them. She also says that she's not willing to stick to a diet at this point because she needs all the comfort she can get, and like we've said, she always relies on food. That has just been her entire life. But she does say she is hopeful one day that she can turn her life around and get healthier, and that is where the episode ends. So we don't even get like an arc. Like, you know, in a lot of reality TV shows, they always try and give you a fake arc, even if there isn't an arc, like, oh, everything was fine in the end. This wasn't the case here, and that's what makes it even more disturbing. Now, I actually have done research to find out what, you know, where Jeanne and her mother is today. Now, this update has 2 parts, one amazing one and one not so amazing one. I'm going to start with the good first because that was pretty heavy. Now, since appearing on the show, Jeanne has actually lived a very kind of quiet life. She doesn't, you know, she hasn't been on TV since, I don't think. But the most important thing is she has actually lost a lot of weight and has become so much healthier since appearing on the show, which honestly, when I discovered this, I was so happy. Like, it made us, like, I don't know, like, I almost felt just like buzzing for her because she had no light at the end of the tunnel, but somehow she's managed to just, you know, really, really push through and just, you know, extend her life. It says here that she put a post on Facebook in 2020 saying that she had dropped to £388 on her own. Now, obviously, that's still, you know, that she still weighs a lot at that point, but she was 700 at one point. So that is huge progress, and, you know, it's much better than what she managed to achieve on the show. And that came from herself, which she should be so proud of. She also said sometimes it's better to just distance yourself from certain people in your life without explaining why. She wrote as a status update in January 2024, "No need to reopen a healing wound, just let go with good wishes and continue on your way." You know, these are positive quotes from her. We didn't hear any positivity from her on the show. Everything was negative. Everything was the world is terrible. This is nice. And I wonder if she has had any help with a therapist or anything to work through stuff. But I'm so happy for her. Apparently she also has a boyfriend as well. She wrote this status. So anyone in here gamers? My boyfriend is thinking of starting a YouTube channel of games we play. Is there a lot of people that enjoy that or would be interested in chatting with us? And she also posted this profile picture, and you can see she looks like great. You know, this is the driving seat as well in America. Like, she couldn't drive before. Clearly, she's, you know, passed her test. Like, she's starting to have a life and actually get out of the house. Like, even the fact this photo's taken out the house and she's smiling, I'm just so happy for her, genuinely. She also puts, like, little hashtags saying, like, new life, new me, living my best life, melting the fat away. You know, normally I'd say, all right, this is very, like, live, laugh, love. But with her, I'm like, no, you go. Go on, love. You deserve it. She also posts on TikTok.
I still have my haters out there. I still have people messaging me, "Oh, are you dead yet?" Bitch, no. I'm right here. For all of you, those people that are trying to lose weight, that are fighting depression, you can do it. It can be done. Need to talk, message me.
As you can see here, she's clearly got, you know, that dog in her now. And I'm not trying to say this woman is like the nicest person or anything like that. Like, clearly she hasn't demonstrated very nice traits in this video. But one thing I will say is the trauma that she's been through has definitely affected the person she grew up to be. And now she's trying to unlearn all of that. And for that, I'm always with someone trying to better themselves. Because not everybody has the same upbringing. Not everybody is raised the same way. Some people have a lot more, like, speed bumps and just like boulders in their way that takes a lot of work to move, and clearly she seems to be breaking those down. Now, I did say there wasn't a positive update as well. I believe her mother actually passed away in 2017. I didn't want to research too much into why, because I just don't really feel like that fits, but yeah, I just wanted to make you aware of that. So obviously that's not too great, that's not nice. I don't know if that was a factor in why Jeanne has decided to, you know, really get her life together. I'm unsure. But one thing I will say is I imagine that Jeanne's mother would be so proud of her right now and how she's trying to really, you know, make a life for herself finally. Anyway, Donuts, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I know it was extremely deep. I apologize for that. I just found this really interesting, and I really like kind of just analyzing people with real raw stories, and this show honestly just exuberates that. If you want me to do another episode from this show, drop a like, we'll do that. And also, if you want to watch me cover arguably a more controversial weight loss show, it's called Super Size vs Super Skinny. It's the UK version basically of this. Genuinely, the stuff they made the people do in this is wild. Click this video, it will surprise you. Bye bye.